Cohort 10, week 24, day 5, English for vocational purposes 2, unit 5. By the end of this day, you should be able to review and consolidate previously learned vocabulary items relevant to safety hazards. You should review PPE names and uses. You should use the acquired vocabulary in sentence completion activities. And by the end of the day, you should do the bi-weekly reading aloud tests. As we always do, we start our lesson with a safety talk. The safety talk for this week is distracted driving, cell phone use. Here are some mitigation actions for distracted driving. You have to put the cell phone down while driving. You have to put your cell phone on airplane mode if you need to eliminate distractions, as well as the urge to answer a text, a call, or email alert. If you need a text or call while driving, you should pull over to a safe area to do so. It means that you have to stop your car or park your car in a safe place. When traveling as a passenger, urge any driver who is using their cell phone to put it down. If there is another driver on the road who is using a cell phone while driving, maintain a safe distance from them and be a defensive driver. Always leave yourself an out in case of any type of accident which occurs around you or your vehicle. Now let's move to the review of vocabulary and grammar. So this revision will be for vocabulary and grammar because the grammar of the unit was using should and shouldn't for giving advice. You are going to review the vocabulary items that you have learned for safety and at the same time give advice as you are going. What can you see in the picture? The picture on the right, yes, that's a dirty workshop. The on the left is a clean workshop. Let's make a sentence about each picture here. So this picture, for instance, you have to say a worker mustn't leave his workshop to be dirty because this will allow germs to grow on the surfaces and it may cause diseases. If we speak on about the picture on the left, you can say worker should clean his room regularly because this will make it difficult for germs to grow in the workshop. Let's move to the next slide. We have two rooms here, two workshops. The one on the right is a tidy room or workshop. The one on the left is an untidy room. And if you want to make some sentences about the pictures, you can say, you should put back or take away the tools from the ground of the workshop when you finish working, because this will keep a clear floor, because clear floors safe, unclear floors or busy floors are unsafe and they can cause injuries. Okay, this picture, for example, what's that? It's prevent, yes. Companies should prevent the employees. What's this? This is tripping. This is a safety hazard. And you must keep a clear floor if you want to prevent tripping. What's this? This is the hazard of a slippery surface. So if you want to prevent this hazard, you must dry the floor after you clean it, or when there are some spills of liquid on the floor. Okay, this is the hazard of falling from height. Okay, and if you want to protect yourself, you have to put on the protective equipment or personal protective equipment. Let's move to the next slide now. We have two pictures. This worker is taking away the tools and materials after he finished his task. This worker here, he is not using or following precautions, and he's leaving all the tools on the ground or on the floor, which makes the ground or floor unsafe because people may get injured by these tools. If you look at the two pictures here, we have two people. The one on the right is throwing rubbish on the floor, which is unsafe action or act. The one on the left is throwing the rubbish in the litter bin or the rubbish bin here. So this is a safe action. If you want to be safe, you have to dispose of litter regularly. We have two rooms here. The one on the right is a dim room. The one on the left is a well-lit room. Well-lit rooms are safe. Dim rooms are unsafe, and you should have a good amount of light in the room if you want to be safe. What can you see in this picture? What sign is it? It's a sign that refers to hazards of falling objects. If you want to be safe, you must put on your helmet or hard hat. Okay, this is a symbol of falling hazard. If you want to be safe in such a situation, you have to put on your personal protective equipment like the hard hat, and you have also to be safe when you are working on heights and use harnesses. What's this? It's a slippery surface and it may cause head injury. If you want to be safe, you have to put on a helmet or a hard hat, and you should make sure that you clean the floors and dry them very well. Here is the hazard of icy surface, and it may also cause slipperies, and it may cause back injuries and head injuries as well. You have to follow safety instructions when you walk, and you have also to put on your helmets and other PPE equipment, personal protective equipment. This is a head injury. If you want to prevent it, you have to take care and look before you walk, and you have to make sure that you are putting on your hard hats. What can you see in this picture? It's an arm injury. Okay, you should be careful when you walk to avoid any arm or leg injuries. This is a back injury, and we can say the same thing. You must make sure that you follow precautions or safety precautions if you want to be safe. Here you can see unguarded machinery, and a worker must cover and guard the dangerous parts of the machine to avoid any injury because of unguarded machinery. These are some cords and cables crossing the floor, all right? And if you want to prevent tripping, you must remove the cords from the ground. Another source of hazards in the workshop which is spills of liquids on the ground. You have to make sure that the ground or the floor is dry, not wet. Ladders and scaffolds, they may cause injuries when they cause falls from heights. You have to make sure that you are using harnesses. You must use a harness to keep yourself tied to the scaffold. Okay, this is a symbol of biological danger, toxic rubbish or toxic materials, and you have to dispose them of carefully and keep them away from the workplace. Carrying heavy loads is another source of injuries, and you mustn't carry a heavy load. This is a strong advice. Chemicals are sources of injuries such as burns in the workplace. You have to be very careful that you put on the required PPE, such as face masks and protective gloves when you touch chemicals. Hot weather is another source of injury. You have to make sure that you don't work in hot weathers and you drink much liquids as much as you can to keep yourself hydrated. Okay, protective hat or hard hat, helmet. You must put on the helmet even if you are not working from height. Safety goggle or eye protection. You should put an eye protection when you're working in a place with a contaminated air or flying pieces of metals. Ear protection, you have to put in ear protection if you are working in a noisy place. Harnesses are to be used when you are working from height. You must attach the harness to the place where you are working from. These are safety shoes, and they are necessary, obligatory, or mandatory for everyone who's working in a workshop, and they have some hard parts or metal parts here to protect the toes, and also some soles here to keep them sticky to the ground to avoid slips. Now let's do this activity. Dim light makes it difficult and space for employees to complete their daily tasks. Of course, it will be difficult and unsafe. Space of letter regularly. Collocation of letter is dispose. Dispose of the letter regularly. A clear floor will prevent tripping. A dry floor will prevent slipping. Injuries can be prevented by making the workplace clean and tidy. Now, another part of the activities, or another sort of activities, choose the correct answer. The floor is wet. You might space. If you walk there, you might slip. D. Wet, it means you might slip. Be careful, there are tools on the floor. This is a trip hazard. B. Keeping the machines guarded will prevent injuries. C. Please keep the place clean and throw space into the basket through letter with I, not E, L-I-T-T-E-R. And the last one is unsafe places can cause injuries. The last thing to do here is to use should, shouldn't, or needn't. The modals. You space bend your back when lifting a heavy box. You shouldn't bend your back. You should bend your knees. You space run on a wet floor. You shouldn't run on a wet floor. If you want to make it stronger, you can say you mustn't. You space bend your knees when lifting something. So here is a good advice. You should. You space use air protection. The workshop is not noisy, so you needn't use air protection. The last question, use space wear head protection. If there are suspended loads, it means you should. Okay, and this is the time for reading aloud exam. Your teacher will give you a text to read aloud, and make sure that you stop at stop marks like commas, full stops, exclamation marks, and make sure that you read aloud and read smoothly. Thank you so much, and I hope that you have enjoyed our lesson today. Good luck and see you in other lessons soon.